Good morning, Cowboys Nation. Huge game day, week 17. We got the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. So big news out there in Cowboys Nation is Kellen Moore is expected to sign an extension with the Dallas Cowboys, keeping him as our offensive coordinator for next year. On the other side of that, we have Will McClay being considered for the Houston Texans GM job, which could be a devastating loss. You know, Will McClay has been huge and an incremental piece in identifying talent and scouting for the Cowboys organization. So this could be a big loss, but we'll see how that unfolds. So let's get into predictions for today. So the first prediction at 80,000 Scoville units is an Ezekiel Elliott touchdown. You know, it seems like it's been a while since we've seen Ezekiel Elliott punch it into the end zone, and I think his time is just coming today. So I'm going with an Ezekiel Elliott touchdown for 80,000 Scoville units. The second prediction I have today is a Randy Gregory sack. We've seen Randy Gregory really up the pressure in these last couple weeks. You know, he put up 3 forced fumbles last week in addition to 1.5 sacks, and I think that trend continues today. My third prediction is CeeDee Lamb over or under 100 yards, and I'm taking the over here today, and this is why. Last week we saw Michael Gallup go off with 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. We saw Amari Cooper also go off with the same amount of yards at 121. I think the Giants are really going to be game planning for these 2 receivers today, and I really think that's going to open up the field for CeeDee Lamb. The fourth prediction for today is a Dallas Cowboys defensive touchdown. You know, we've seen the defense get takeaways, and takeaways the last couple weeks. Something that I really didn't expect, but I'm going to say the trend continues today against the New York Giants, and not only are they going to take the ball away, they're going to run it back for 6 points. And the final prediction today is the Dallas Cowboys win. So I'm going to predict for sure that the Cowboys are going to beat the Giants, and let's hope that our luck can pull through on Sunday night and that Philly can knock off the Washington football team and we can get into the playoffs. Let's get into the game day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Cowboys Nation, let's get into the recap. Season's over. I know we lost the Giants 4 points, but let's get into the predictions real quick and we'll talk about that later. Obviously went 1 for 5 on the predictions this week. The only prediction I got was Ezekiel Elliott for the touchdown, which was only at the 80,000 Scoville units. So that means today I have to take a whopping 600,000 Scoville units. I got the wing right here today. Glad to be back to my homemade wings. You know, last week we had the big turkey leg that was kind of hard to chew, and before that the store actually sold out of wings. The previous episodes I had to get the frozen ones, which weren't very good, so glad to be getting back to my wings. Yeah, unfortunately, you know, CeeDee Lamb didn't come through with the 100 yards. I don't think he really had an opportunity to get there based off some of the balls being thrown yesterday. Let's just get into the wing. We'll talk about that after. So I got the Burns and McCoy Exoresco. So let's give it a shake. We'll give it a dab. Oh, that's really saucy. Oh yeah. Cleaned it off. Ooh. I gotta say, for sauces that come in at that, you know, 600,000 Scoville units at that heat level, Burns and McCoy has to be the best tasting one by far. So if you love hot sauces, I strongly suggest checking that one out. But let's get into the game. I thought Andy Dalton threw some horrendous balls yesterday in what could potentially be his last game with the Dallas Cowboys. You know, finishing the first half with only 88 yards. You know, he didn't really put us in a position to win this game at all. Oh, that's hot. A lot of throws that, you know, threw up there that, you know, for the better part could have been picked off if it wasn't for, you know, the terrible hands of the New York Giants defense. But this is probably more than likely Andy Dalton's last game with the team. And I'm not saying it has anything to do with the performance that he had, but it just seems that Andy Dalton will be probably looking to see if he can compete for a starting job somewhere else. this is Dak's team at the end of the day. Dak will be back. One of the benefits about being eliminated right now is that we can actually start negotiating that Dak contract. Another part of the game I want to touch on is that Dante Pettis catch on 3rd down. Even the announcers were saying, that doesn't look like a reception. You could clearly see that the ball hits the ground, and Pettis was using the ground to corral the ball. And if we had challenged that more than likely would have kept them out of field goal range on the 4th down. That kick put them up by 4, forcing us to need a touchdown. I think if we had challenged it, we were only down by 1, easily get down the field, kick the field goal for the win. This is the same Mike McCarthy that challenged the Dez Bryant catch in 2014, yet when we see it unfold again on the field this year in a must-win game to get into the playoffs, nothing. Kept the timeout instead. We saw so many drives fizzle out before. I think it would be much more lucrative to keep the game to win by a field goal rather than needing the touchdown. But that's just me. I think that's a big mistake on Mike McCarthy's part. I get it, it doesn't matter. Even if we won this game, we're only really moving back in the draft. We weren't going to get in because of the way the other game unfolded. And then one of the other things I want to touch on is, that fumble at the end of the game. I thought, for a second there, we had another chance to get back in there. They blew the whistle. And then one ref was saying that, it was Giants ball. Another ref was saying that it was Cowboys ball. I was getting hyped thinking, oh man, we just recovered it. We're gonna have a chance to win here, but they said it was a Giants recovery, which I think, fair enough. After seeing the replay, I think they would have ruled that anyways. You can see on the ground, he kind of just had possession of it for a sec before it was stripped again. Let's get into not this game, but I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington football team game. We hear, situations of teams, intentionally tanking. I think this is some of the most blatant tanking I've ever seen. Philly came out, had a chance to win the game. End of the 3rd quarter, they're down by 3, 17-14, and they're in 4th and goal, and they elect to go for the pass rather than kicking a field goal to tie the game. And then the 3rd quarter ends there. And then when they get the ball back in the 4th quarter, they don't put Jalen Hurts out there. They actually go and they put in Nate Sudfeld. And this is crazy to me because you have a situation where the Eagles are kind of deciding, okay, is Carson Wentz our guy or is Jalen Hurts the guy going forward? And I thought, if they're going to give 2 QBs some playing time, I thought it would be between those 2 guys just to see kind of who their QB of the future is. No, they benched Jalen Hurts and they put out Nate Sudfeld, comes out, throws a pick, he fumbles a low snap and turns it over and just gets nothing going. I can't see any reason for playing Nate Sudfeld other than to reinforce the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles wanted to lose this game because they didn't want it to affect their draft board. In fact, they wanted to move up. It's kind of an interesting situation there. I don't know. I think Philly blatantly just intentionally lost. Because of that, I'm kind of glad that we lost the Giants game. It's benefited where we were in terms of drafting. It's also the fact that I wouldn't have the heart to sit through that Philadelphia-Washington game. I can't imagine what it was like for Giants fans having to sit through that, thinking that there's a chance to sneak into the playoffs. Philly just comes out, packs it in, doesn't even care about winning, doesn't try. And you know what, we're talking about like them, sacrificing, team culture for what, moving up 3 positions in the draft at best, but is what it is. Cowboys Nation, I just want to thank you for rocking me with the last couple of weeks. I know it's kind of sad that we're out. There's no more games for 2020. Won't be in the playoffs. That being said, there's a lot to look forward to next season. Look, this season, it didn't go as planned at all. I think coaching, especially on the defensive side of the ball, was an issue, but we were also hampered with tons of injuries. We lost our franchise quarterback in Dak Prescott. We're missing both starting tackles in Tyron Smith and La'el Collins. Zach Martin was out for substantial time. That's essentially a huge chunk of our offense right there. And despite the last game, I think Andy Dalton did step in, and I think he did help. I thought he was a great quarterback. I'm glad we did have him. If the price was right, I would definitely be open to having Andy Dalton come back next season. I don't think he wants to be here. I think he wants to go somewhere where he can actually compete for the starting job. So thank you for all those games, Henry. I know it's probably not the note you wanted to go out on last game, but thank you. But other things to be optimistic about: we hold the 10th pick in the NFL draft. That's huge. I think we're gonna be in a position to add a lot more talent to this football team in the coming months, and I'm excited. I've been scouring some of the mock drafts early. It seems a lot of the mock drafts have Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, falling to us. How would you guys feel if we took Kyle Pitts? Comment below. Personally, if he's on the board, I'd feel a bit conflicted, like we have such a great offense already, and then you have this, generational talent in Kyle Pitts, who's just such a speedy tight end with great hands, who, could really add another dangerous element to a great receiving core that we have. But on the other hand, our defense has had a year where they've been historically bad. Would you rather trade down and have more picks for the defense? Personally, I'm hoping to see a guy like Micah Parsons or Patrick Surtain still on the board at that spot, but I don't know if they'll be there. I guess the 5th episode of Hot Takes. I'm definitely bringing back this series for next season. Stay tuned, because this isn't over yet. I want to make some more content around the off season, some other pieces of content, so that we will be having new series coming out on Cowboys Collective. Thank you so much. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and Cowboys Collective out.